There aren't many situations in the gospel where Jesus loses his temper. Really, we think about the casting the merchants out of the temple as the one. There are stern warnings to people, but the casting the money changers out is really where he becomes physical about it. Now there are two castings out. One is in the Synoptic Gospels, which is at the beginning of the ministry, and in John's Gospel it's at the end. And so the question is the Gospel according to John the right one, or is the Gospel according to Matthew and Mark and Luke the right one? Which is chronologically correct, or are any of them correct? Well, actually, both are correct. There are two castings out. One at the beginning, and this is the one I'm going to read now, the vision of that, and another one towards the end of the public ministry. And it's given in the first volume of the poem The Man God, chapter 53. Jesus drives the merchants out of the temple, given on the 24th of October, 1944. I see Jesus entering the enclosure of the temple with Peter, Andrew, John, James, Philip, and Bartholomew. There is a very large crowd both inside and outside the enclosure. Pilgrims are arriving in flocks from every part of the town. Just note, Bartholomew is also known as Nathaniel, so they're the one and the same apostle, because we get both names in the Gospels. From the top of the hill on which the temple is built, one can see the narrow, twisted streets of the town swarming with people. One gets the impression that a self-moving, many-coloured ribbon has been laid between the white houses. The town looks like a rare toy indeed, a toy made of gaily coloured ribbons between two white threads, all converging on the point where the domes of the house of the Lord are shining. Inside it is a real market. Just pause for a moment. You know there that where it says the domes of the house of the Lord are shining. Some say, well, look, they wouldn't have had domes. But actually there's no way of knowing whether there were domes on the top of the temple or not. There's a late 19th century painting, and I just can't remember who it's by now, and it shows it's of the temple. Instead of domes, it's got pyramidal shapes on the top of the temple, the various parts of the temple. But of course no one can know. The whole thing was demolished. And so it's speculation. Well, given there's vast numbers of reasons to trust the writings of Maria Valtorta, I think it's sensible to say there were domes at various points on the temple. Inside it is a real market. The concentration of a holy place has been destroyed. Some run, some call, some contract for lambs, shouting and cursing because of the extortionate prices. Some drive the poor bleating animals into their enclosures, rough partitions made of ropes and pegs, at the entrance of which stand the merchants or owners awaiting buyers. Blows with cudgels, bleatings, curses, shouts, insults to the boys who are not prompt in gathering together or selecting the animals, abuses to the purchasers who haggle over prices or who go away, graver insults to those who wisely brought their own lambs. Near the benches of the money changers, there is more bawling. It is obvious that either always or at Passover time, the temple functioned as a stock exchange or black market. There was no fixed rate of exchange. There must have been a legal rate, but the money changers imposed a different one, making whatever profit they fancied for exchanging the money. And I can assure you, they were not joking in their usury transactions. The poorer the people were, and the farther they came from, the more they were fleeced. Old people more than young people. Those coming from beyond Palestine more than the old folk. Some poor old men looked over and over again at the money they had saved in a whole year, I wonder with how much hard work. They took it out and put it back into their purses dozens and dozens of times, going from one money changer to another, and at times ending up by going back to the first one, who avenged himself for their original desertion by increasing the premium for the exchange, and the big coins passed from the hands of the sighing owners into the clutches of the usurers and were changed into smaller coins. Then a further tragedy would take place with vendors over the choice and payment of their lambs, and the poor old men, particularly if they were half blind, were fobbed off with the most wretched little lambs.